Erev Tov, everybody. We are back in the studio. Thank God I'm out of the pool and not exercising this week. Although I have to say I did buy some barbells, some dumbbells for the pool, and I've been using them all week. I will bring them in another time, and as we show some of my progress. I'm Rabbi Aklepi, and it's Erev Tov. It's good evening to everyone, and it's wonderful to see you here in one of our Temple Beth annexes. Of course, it's Studio 2 in my living room. This morning I was services, and I see my dog has returned to the same place she was this morning, joining us for this broadcast. Well, last week, since it was an exercise show, I really didn't mix a drink because that wouldn't have been a good idea, especially since we were in the pool. The drink came at the end of the show. But here we are at my cocktail table, ready for a cocktail. This evening show is welcoming our new cantorial soloist, Jessica Bass, and I'll tell you a little bit about her. So I always like to name our drink along with our theme. Last week, it was an exercise show, and it was a wine spritzer, and so it was Schwitz and Spritz. This week, we have Jessica, who will be our cantorial soloist, and so our drink is the Summer's Singers Sangria. So Summer Singer Sangria, or the Singers Summer Sangria, or a sangria for the summer. And the singer, I don't know if Jessica even likes sangria, but it's the Singer Summer Sangria drink. And that is what I will be showing you. One with wine, and one, if you've known all for these weeks already, you know that I have a thing for these flavored seltzers. I will make that drink first. It's summer, so we are using summer fruit. And I've already taken the time to cut up peaches and plums. And I will add some to a cup of ice, fresh peaches and plums. I've actually placed them in the freezer. And I add my sparkling flavored seltzer. Refreshing, summery, sweet, and delicious. Our non-alcoholic drink. Now, you know that sangria, whether it's alcoholic or fruit-flavored seltzer, really has to sit and absorb the flavors. What do we do with our wine? Well, again, our summer fruit. Put that in there. Now, I'm breaking the rules already. You know that well-behaved women, the saying goes, well-behaved women don't change the world. Therefore, I am breaking the rule already and having ice in this drink. I have my cut up fruit, and I like a sangria a little bit sweet. So I have the sweet summer fruit, plums and peaches. I have red wine, a nice Spanish red wine. And I have a nice Italian Moscato. Normally, I probably wouldn't use a Moscato. It's a little too sweet. But that's what was already opened in the refrigerator. You see how fancy it is? It has a screw top. Now, the trick to sangria is that the fruit has to sit and marinate in the wine. Now, it would be probably nice at the end of the show, but who wants to wait that long? So I have, of course, prepared ahead. And I have the sangria right here. Oh, but you know what? I have forgotten another glass. This is the sangria I have made earlier. Isn't that beautiful? You know what? I will have to taste it. I did not taste it. I will use this little cup here. being in quarantine is all about improvisation. So I am improvising with my little Tupperware. It's absolutely delicious. It's refreshing. It is a little bit tart, a little bit sweet, not too sweet. It has the fruit in it. Look at that beautiful color. Sangria is awesome for a wonderful summer evening. It also has the right colors, of course, for this weekend, beginning July 4th weekend, which I know for many of us probably won't be the July 4th weekend that we've celebrated in the past, because we're going to be not going out like we used to, probably not on beaches or boats or gathering with friends and watching fireworks in the numbers or barbecuing the same way. But at least now you have a good recipe for sangria, a summer sangria, and a non-alcoholic sangria. So let's see if this has absorbed any flavors yet. No, not exactly yet, but it sure does look pretty. So we are well on our way for our summer drinks, Singer's Summer Sangria. So now let's talk about our singer this evening. We are very lucky because we are welcoming to Temple Beth Jessica Bass. Now, I've known Jessica, and this is no joke, since she's 3 years old, because she was at Beth in the 3-year-old class taught by Amy Middleburg, who is a teacher in the nursery group at Temple Beth. She was in Amy Middleburg's class, along with my daughter Molly, some years ago, and grew up at Beth with me all through preschool and through religious school. I officiated at her bat mitzvah. Jessica came to Israel with me in the congregation. I know her parents very well. And Jessica was a young young woman who used to attend Friday night services. Now, if you know my informality and my warmth, when there were young people in the congregation, I would always invite them up to participate. Now, this is the way I would ask them, never force them, but I would ask them, and more often than not, they would agree to participate. And since I would know really what the kids were able to do, I would never ask them to participate in something that they weren't comfortable in. So I would say, and if I had a chance, I would even come off the beam and whisper to them. If not, I would ask them a couple of prayers ahead. Would you like to, in 3 pages, come up and lead the Hafta or the Avot, or join us for a closing song? And I already knew more or less that they had the ability to do it. Well, for Jessica, on Friday nights, I would ask her to do Shalom Rav, which I think is what she's going to be doing for us a little bit later. Jessica graduated from Florida State University, go Noles. And when she went to Florida State and she graduated, and she'll tell us where she went to high school, I said, Jess, if you want to get involved, my friend's a rabbi up in Tallahassee. You can teach there, you can sing there, and she'll tell us all about how she grew to be their cantorial soloist in Tallahassee at Temple Israel. So let's meet Jessica, hear what she's been doing, hear what she's doing now in Miami, and get to know her and hear her voice. Jess, come on board. Hi, Jessie.
Hello, how are you?
I'm great. So everybody, this is Jessica Bass, a
Hello.
native of Miami. And Jessica, so let's see. So besides joining us at Temple Beth I know recently you have been singing at Beit Shirah congregation, and tell us where you are studying now and what you are studying.
So I've been singing at Beth Shirah for about a year, and right now I am going to be a second-year master's student at the University of Miami. I'm I'm getting my degree in voice performance, just like my bachelor's, and I'm focusing on opera performance. So, yeah.
Beautiful. And you spent 4 years at FSU,
Mm-hmm.
also for vocal performance. And
Yes.
what was your time at FSU like? What kind of groups did you perform in? What Jewish life did you do at FSU? Did you enjoy it? Tell us about FSU.
Well, at FSU, I participated a lot in Hillel. My first 2 years, I made a lot of friends there. And my sophomore year, I was asked to audition to sing at a Temple Israel in Tallahassee, um, where I ended up working there as their Shabbat cantorial soloist for a couple years. I later went on to do their High Holy Days for 3 years after I graduated. Um, Tallahassee was a lot of fun. I was probably maybe one of the lamer people. I think I went the entire time and maybe went to one house party at the party capital. I don't know. But I really love my studies. I worked with the FSU Opera. I was in their opera choruses for several performances. My senior year, I was Hansel in Humperdinck's Hansel und Gretel, which was an FSU outreach program. So we went around to all the low-income schools around Leon County and put on a 45-minute children's opera with setting up the sets and tearing them down. And I got to wear a pair of men's double XL overalls and had to roll them up like 4 or 5 times to not trip over myself. But yeah, it was a great experience for me there. I enjoyed it a lot. And I'm happy to be back in Miami.
Great. And how was your first year at UM? What do you like the Frost School of Music? And what was the transition like to go online the second semester?
Going back to school was really weird because I graduated from college in 2017 and I took a 2-year gap where I taught voice and piano and did some gigs around Miami. And when I came back, I was suddenly thrown into a new area, a new experience. Everything's concrete, nothing's brick. It was very back to reality. And I probably spent the first semester, as I said, running around a bit like a chicken with my head cut off. What's next? What's going on? But once I settled into it, I really fell in love with the people. I hid the fact that I was a Seminole for a good while, and that was probably smart. But yeah, I've really fallen in love with the campus and the people in it. They're really a program where you get what you put into it, and it's a small program, but every single person works at least as hard as anybody else I've seen in any program, and there's a lot of love there. Going into COVID with everything moving online, that was kind of rough. I'm fortunate that it was the end of my first year. I had a very good friend who had to give her master's recital on Zoom, and that was she did a beautiful job, but it wasn't the same. But it was good, as well as it could be for everyone. When I just lost my train of thought. So we were in the middle of producing staging and finalizing the staging for our spring opera, which would have been my first main stage lead at the University of Miami. So unfortunately, that was canceled and there will be no encore. And my summer program, the same thing happened, my summer opera. But, you move on. Everyone's had to deal with things not working out right now. So I think as far as it goes, I got pretty lucky, and I still am pretty lucky.
So how was it like moving home to live with your parents after 4 years away? And you could just tell me, pretend your parents aren't listening.
They're probably listening. It was an adjustment, I went away for 4 years and I talked to them every day, but I didn't have to tell them where I was going all the time. There was a bit of a transition. I left a child and I came back a tiny adult, and I remain a tiny adult, but it took a little bit of adjusting to get used to each other again, but it's been wonderful. I am very lucky with my relationship with my parents. Um, we are best friends, and even though we may push each other's buttons like all families do, there's a lot of good love there. So, and we
Beautiful.
do have indoor snowball fights occasionally, so that always helps.
Indoor snowball fights with
Yes,
what?
giant cotton balls that are this big, and whenever we've had a particularly bad time, one of us will run into the room where the rest of us are and start pelting us with each other with them. So that's always nice.
That's fun. Do you remember anything about our trip to Israel years ago?
Oh my gosh. I remember a lot about Israel. I remember particularly one of the memories that stood out to me was when we were in, oh, I forget what it was called, where we went and we dressed in the period clothing and we made goat cheese and we made pita bread. And I will never forget, your husband Alex had the cheesecloth and he's swinging it over his head. This is the cheese that I milked from the goat, and the bag had a hole in it and it ripped and went everywhere. I will never forget that. That
Right.
was a great moment.
360 degrees of flying goat cheese
Yes.
covered everybody. Yeah, I mean, that was like pretty soon after we arrived. That's right. That was funny.
That was pretty memorable. Yeah, I loved Israel. I loved going there. There was so much palpable history and just spirituality that I had never experienced before. And even when, I was only 12, but it was and remains one of my most memorable trips I've ever taken. And I really, really want to go back. And I'm sure you hear that a lot.
Yeah. Well, you know what? You can still go back on birthright. You haven't gone back on birthright?
Not yet. No, I haven't.
Andrea Levine, you hear that? We have one ready to go. So
Talk to me.
we will make the time for you, Jess. This is exciting. We love to send people back to birthright. You are just the right age. Maybe we'll even get you singing somewhere. So singing Jewish music, what has that meant to you? Does that feel differently to you? Does it move you in any way? Tell us all about that. When you sing secular music, and you're going to be singing with us Friday nights and most Saturday mornings, how does that make you feel? And how do you want us to feel listening to you?
Ooh. Oh, that's really hard to explain. There's a lot of fun that comes from singing secular music. When you don't have the spiritual connection, you can have other forms of connection, but there's something really deep about Jewish music. I've been in love with Jewish music since preschool. Dare I say, probably addicted. I was always singing it. It's what made me fall in love with Judaism prior to even really knowing what religion is. There's something, rhythmic. There's something soulful and tribal about the melodies in Judaism and how they all relate together. And I just find it incredibly powerful. I always think that I feel and perform as a singer, not just as someone who's in prayer, my best when I'm singing in the High Holy Days, because with the music around you and the literature that we're performing, it causes vibrations up and down your entire body. When you're singing, your resonance and where your sound comes from is from your entire body. So it's almost like you're vibrating from your toes all the way to your head. It's amazing, especially with Jewish music. Thanks.
Well, okay, Jess. So since you were a little girl, when I saw you sitting out there, I would say, oh, it's Shalom Rav. Jessica, would you join us and sing? And you were always very willing to do that.
Mm-hmm.
So will you do Shalom Rav for us this evening?
Sure, I can do that.
Great.
Shalom Rav Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Ki ata melech adon Shalom Rav Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. V'tov beinecha levarech et Amcha Yisrael bechol עת ובכל שעה בשלומך. Shalom Rav Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Tasim Leolam. Tasim Leolam.
Jessica, that was beautiful.
Thank
We
you.
must give a shout out to Emily Friedman, who taught you your first Jewish songs, your first mini Mac and Hine Matov and Hine Rakevet, Himisto Bevet. Way back when, that ignited your soul to Jewish music, to Judaism and music, probably.
Yeah,
So,
she was the start.
yeah, that's wonderful. So tell us what you're going to sing, a secular piece that maybe we'll sing along with everybody who's listening.
Well, that was a bit of a hard choice for me because, you know, the world is my oyster in that regard. But I thought that I would bring Can't Help Falling in Love with You.
Okay.
Wise men say only fools rush in, but I can't help falling in love with you. Shall I stay? Would it be a sin if I can't help falling in love with you? Like a river flows surely to the sea, darling, so it goes. Some things are meant to be. Take my hand, take my whole life too, for I can't help falling in love with you. Like a river flows surely to the sea, darling, so it goes. Some things are meant to be. Take my hand, take my whole life too, for I can't help falling in love with you, for I can't help falling in love with you.
So beautiful. So those of you who have weddings coming up, you can find Jess at the temple. She'll be happy to sing that for your wedding. You know, I was just remembering, Jess, you'll be so happy to know that we have such a vibrant Purim show at Beth and I remember were you Esther or Vashti one year? You were still in
Esther.
high school.
Esther, I was 16.
You were 16, and your father also was he, what was his role that year? Mordechai?
My dad was Mordechai, yeah.
Dad was Mordechai, and you were Esther. And which show did we do that year?
We did Little Shul of Horrors.
Little Shul of Horrors. Okay. Well, this year we did Hamilton, a Hamilton view of Purim through Haman. So
that's great.
Get ready. And Jess, what's so much fun about Purim is that the cast is like your age. Mm-hmm. So they're not like my age. So you'll have a lot of fun. So cool. Andrea, remember, mark Jess down for Purim. She'll join the fun.
Always recruiting.
We're always recruiting. We're always recruiting for Purim. It's a full year recruit and thought process. Jessica, we're so happy that you're going to be joining us at Minyan. To remind our viewers, Minyan, we have Minyan every morning during our quarantine time, but a very special Minyan, of course, is Shabbat morning. Every Shabbat morning at 10:30 a.m. That's when we have a rabbi and a cantor or cantorial soloist. Jessica will be starting for her first Shabbat morning this Shabbat, Saturday morning, July 4th. So it will be a special Independence Day Shabbat as Jessica joins us on the Bima with Rabbi Greengrass leading and Jessica singing. It will be a wonderful, wonderful morning to hear Jessica and to support her really in spirit, singing along at home. And you'll send her emails during the week with a hearty welcome and mazel tov for joining us. So Jess, we welcome you. We look forward to seeing you during the high holy days on Shabbat mornings and other times at the temple. We know that Beth will be a wonderful spiritual home for you. We have wonderful mentors for you, friends. We welcome your parents to come along with you on this journey, Michael and Janet Bass. And I think we'll have a wonderful time with you. And I personally take such pride in seeing you all grown up and as a Jewish professional, not just as a little girl that I will take credit in helping raise, but now as a colleague. Really, no more greater happiness can it bring to a member of the clergy than to raise someone up and have them become a colleague. So Jess, mazel tov, and so glad that you're here with us. Jack in Tallahassee, Rabbi Romberg did a great job getting you to this place, and we are so thrilled that you are here now with us. So, welcome, Jessica.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me on your show. Thank you for welcoming me to Beth Am. I look forward to meeting everyone off the screen once we can do so, and I'm just really honored and excited. Thank you so much.
Beautiful. Okay, so you can close your video, and I'll just wish everybody a wonderful weekend or wonderful Shabbat. I'll say L'chaim. I said this last week, and I want to really encourage us to live each day. No more suspension in time as if we are in quarantine waiting for something to happen, but recognize each day is valuable, each day is meaningful, to learn, to grow, to love, to appreciate all of our moments, and of course, to celebrate our relationships, to celebrate God, and to do the best that we can every day. A l'chaim to everybody, a l'chaim with my beautiful non-alcoholic sangria this evening. Thank you, Andrea Levine, for always supporting Erev Tov and everything else that you do. And see you soon.
עוברים בדרך כלל משנה מקום משנה מזל
Erev Tov.
אתם